Uh, you know, they say never let the times get the best of you or get ahead of you. Always try to stay within reach. They also say that when in doubt, stick to what you know best. Well, let me be the first to say that with this being the season premiere of a show that I started in 2021, a wise man once told me, never stay content. Just continue to push. And I can say that after about 4 years of waking up on a Saturday, knowing that I get to speak about this glorious, magnificent sport of professional wrestling, not only has it given me gray hairs, not only has it given me strife, chaos, angst, and turmoil, shout out to my co-host, and not only has it given us a fair share of bad moments, but what I can say is that on the good side, it's given me a good share of moments. It's given me laughs. It's given me good times. It's given me all the wrestling news possible. And on top of that, it gives me a surplus, a community, an amount of people that gravitate towards us because they like what we talk about, they love what they hear, and they love, on top of that, the grandeur, the magnificence, the architect to all that I can welcome you all to, known to mankind as Saturday afternoon's main event. Welcome to the season premiere, ladies and gentlemen. And for some reason, if you do not know who in the blue hell I am, after 4 years, or whether you're just dumb, stupid, and irrelevant, I suggest you go back to school, go into your local library, get the best dictionary you can find, preferably Merriam-Webster, and look me up under the word phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the phenomenal one. And of course, once more, I welcome you to Saturday afternoon's main event. Guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on YouTube right now. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Welcome to the show. But of course, if you've been here before, you know that I'm not alone because I have my co-host, my comrade, my brother from another mother, and to mention, while he's been gone for only a week, he has literally aged an extra 145 years. But fear not, because guess what? He is the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. So, without further ado, as I play his theme song in the studio today, I suggest you guys do two things. Give me 2 claps and a peep snake.
Woo!
There we go.
Yes. Now the Saturday afternoon can commence. There we
Indeed.
go. Yes. My partner is here. I'm here. We're having another great Saturday afternoon. Not a full wrestling weekend. We're going to have that in another couple of weeks. But
Indeed.
I'm glad you guys are joining us, like you said, from Twitch, from YouTube, from wherever you're watching the podcast or wherever you're getting us. If you're on social media, all of our handles, we thank you for joining us. And as we usually do, as I usually bring up every week, we have 3 tenets to stand by to help you get into this, to lock you into a great Saturday afternoon. And they are laughs, good times, and all the wrestling news possible. And if you can stick with those 3, you can't have a bad Saturday afternoon.
You're not wrong on that, peeps. You are not wrong at all. But welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. It's been a long week indeed. But hey, we're here. We're live. Let me repeat that. We're live and in studio.
There you go.
But once more, I think it's only fair that we go ahead and get right into it with this show.
Yes.
Well, peeps, look. Guys, when you hear this sound, it's time for one thing and one thing only. I know Peep Snakes missed this for a week, but I guess it's time to brace yourself, my friend, because it is time for
Wrestling Crash Course.
You good?
I'm good. I had
Perfect.
to get the mining signal out here so I could see where I was going when that hit. So
only Peep Snakes, ladies and gentlemen. Only Peep
Yes.
Snakes. But guys, let's get right into Wrestling Crash Course. First order of business for today, we have a new world heavyweight champion, and his name.
Woo! Rick. No, sorry about that. Just joking.
Peeps, it's not 85.
I know. I couldn't resist.
Peep Snakes, 970 years old today. Still an old fart tomorrow.
You go.
It's all right, Peeps. It's all right. But look, new world heavyweight champion CM Punk defeated Jey Uso at Saturday night's main event last week. He is now a 7-time world heavyweight champion. Peeps, how do we feel about old Punker going ahead and getting the chip?
It's pretty good. I think a lot of people have kind of gotten fatigued that if Punk was going to win, that Rollins was going to come out by some way, shape, or form in a wheelchair, in a scooter, rolling down a hill, crawling on all fours like he was in the jungle to try and stop this from happening. But no, that didn't happen. I'm glad it did. And we're looking at it from this sense. CM Punk, I believe in the 2 years that he's been in the WWE right now, has kind of shown, think about it, it's been almost exactly 2 years to the day from the Survivor Series of a couple of years ago in Chicago, of all places. The one thing that everybody's been looking at CM Punk is he hasn't been able to win the big one. And I think the test was, one, could he stay healthy enough? But two, could he still have the same kind of impact that he had when he was in AEW for the 2 years or so that he was there? And he showed that he can. He's had some injuries here and there, but he's been able to persevere. And I think he gives that credibility that particular championship needs to have. That's what he's been bringing to the table. And I think now there are a lot of storylines that they can branch out as he is the world champion. But to keep in mind, though, the match was okay. I think this is, I'll ask the question of this to you. CM Punk winning the championship, do you think it's more of the rise of CM Punk, or do you think this is at the detriment of Jey Uso, who is over as you can get, but in ring doesn't really seem to have it in that sense?
Plain and simple, the detriment of Jey Uso. The reason why I say that is because, again, you just stated, Peeps, 2 years since CM Punk had returned to the WWE at Survivor Series. We both were in attendance at Dave & Buster's, sitting there watching that alongside the other co-host of the show. We sat there and saw CM Punk return. And we sat there and we were thinking, oh my gosh, what do they have in store for him? Well, Peeps, I think we both can go ahead and sit there and say that CM Punk has probably had one of the most solid opening 2 years than any other person who has made a return to the WWE after leaving for a long period of time.
Yes.
Do you feel that I'm wrong?
I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that.
Okay, because again, we can look at the matches. We can look at the story with Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
The fact that they made a bracelet means so much within a storyline. To strap matches, to that barbaric Hell in a Cell match, to him going ahead and entering the Royal Rumble, the Elimination Chamber, to then have to go ahead and face Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in the main event, which he finally got to do after years of never getting the chance. He finally got to main event WrestleMania. Then fast forward to him beating Walter the first time around, losing it to Rollins by him cashing in Money in the Bank.
Correct.
The match with Cena at Night of Champions. You look at all these things. CM Punk has had the solid best 2 years that anybody could possibly have in the WWE. So for this isn't no rise to CM Punk. CM Punk's been at the rise. CM Punk's been at the top of the mountain. He has been the face of Raw as a counterpart to Seth, as a counterpart to Gunther / Walter, as a counterpart to Cena when Cena was only on there for a cool little minute after he had won the world title. But you see what I'm alluding to here. Like we're looking at all of this and we're like, okay, there's a reason why Punk is Punk right now. When you sit there and you look at Jey Uso, look at how meteoric the rise has been.
Yes.
Since the Royal Rumble. Now, again, he had everybody behind him. Last year, a whole bunch of people were chanting Yeet. They wanted to see him as Intercontinental Champion. That was enough for them, right?
Yes.
But it's at the point where you sit there and you said to yourself, look, it takes time for him to become main event caliber talent. If this wasn't him getting crowned the minute he was facing Roman, then there's no reason that he could be main event caliber talent now. But they went ahead and had the man win the Royal Rumble. He went on to WrestleMania and defeated Gunther in what was a solid but lackluster match by the end. And then what happens? Peeps, that whole storyline was a mess. The storyline afterwards was a mess. Instead of him having good defenses, he's out here tag teaming with Cody Rhodes to take on the team of Logan Paul and John Cena. Jey Uso hasn't had the chance to go ahead and fully prove himself. But what is there to prove, peeps? Is it the same 5 moves of doom filled with a whole bunch of Young Bucks super kicks? Or is it the botches that happens within his matches? Like him going ahead and missing a crossbody over the top rope, or him going ahead and failing on going ahead and taking a neck breaker.
That was awful. It looked to the extent, I don't know if CM Punk kicked him in the head to say that's how we're going to redo this move, or was that a receipt for him botching the neck breaker?
At this point, I think it's a receipt because again, peeps. You sit there and you look at all the professional wrestling you've watched since the 1700s. And I think of all people, when you sit there and look at professional wrestling, it's not just what people may call a sport. It's not just what people may call entertainment, but it's an art form. And
Yes.
in any kind of art whatsoever, whether it may be music, whether it may be virtual physical art, whether it be sculptures, what you're looking to see is perfection. Perfection. Yeah, there can be a botch here and there. Yes, there can be mess ups here and there. Yes, the promos may not be all good. But peeps, combine those botches with 4 letters, 1 word, yeet, every single week, you're getting a recipe for disaster.
Especially when it looks like every time he does that, he's blown up before the match even starts.
Peeps, for me, I feel like after last week, that has put a real stain on Jey Uso. Not to the core of, oh no, don't even put him on my TV screen again. Although a lot of people and a lot of wrestling fans may say that. For me, I don't go that far. For me, I think that Jey needs a revitalization. I think Jey just needs to be tag teaming again. Because I think the height of that main event rise was against Roman. We're not getting anything like that Jey Uso again. Nothing like it. If you were to tell me that Jey Uso were to actually turn heel and actually be able to put out that kind of persona, okay, fine. But peeps, you really think with all that merch that TKO is getting and that money that they're investing and putting into Yeet t-shirts and glasses, do you think for 1 second they're going to go ahead and just turn the man heel?
Not anytime soon. No.
Exactly. So, peeps, detriment to Jey Uso, but always as well perfect for CM Punk. Not a rise again, but definitely great for Punk.
Yes, 100% congratulations to Charles Montgomery. You've done it again. There you go.
Again, 7-time world champion. But
Yes.
peeps, that wasn't the only thing that happened. Of course, something else happened within the midst of that Saturday night's main event. We have a new women's champion, and she is just that Let me stop. It's a family channel. Let me not do
Yes,
that. But
yes.
guys, Jade Cargill is the new WWE Women's Champion, defeating Tiffany Stratton. Peeps, they turned a woman heel. They made her champion. And then she goes out on SmackDown last night, cuts a cool, quick promo, way quicker than Darby Allin's from the week prior.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to. I had to. But, peeps, again, quick promo. You see what happened to Tiff. Let that be a warning to every single woman back there in the locker room. In case you forgot, I'm her.
Yeah.
Peeps. You see, I think I just have to say this. It seems like, they're looking at the old, if it wasn't broke, don't fix it thing. And they're saying, oh, well, this was her in AEW. This is who she was. This is what made us gravitate towards her. You know what? Let's just give her what works back. And look at the reception. It's almost as if AEW went ahead and cured these people well. Because not to mention, you have Punk is world champion, even though he was a WWE guy prior. Jade Cargill is women's champion. Ricky Saints is NXT champion. Need I may add any more, peeps?
Let's see. You got Ricky Saints. You got there's a whole bunch of there was 4 of them. You also got Cody Rhodes, who is
exactly
the foundation of AEW. And let's really be honest, that picture that was floating around right after Saturday night's main event of all 4 of them in a shot in Gorilla, I'm sure that has to be sticking in Tony Khan's craw right about now. That whole entire mindset of what, like you just said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And looking at how it worked, the only thing that Jade Cargill didn't say was she just go into the grab the mic and cut the scat, because I was waiting for her to say that on camera.
I was waiting for it.
I was literally waiting for it, but it works.
Genuinely, I was waiting for it.
Yes. I think if you look at it from this standpoint, I'm not saying that this was done in spite just to rub it into Tony Khan's face, because that doesn't make any sense. But I'm sure it's a pretty good, it leaves a good aftertaste if you're a WWE fan to see that 4 people that were in AEW, that at least one of them was a founding member of the company, is at the top of your card. And you have the other ancillary pieces around that 4 there. And then also knowing that in NXT, your North American Canadian champion, if you want to call him that, in Ethan Page, is a champion as well. Not just a champion. He's a double champion.
Don't forget the other wild card piece to that. The NXT Women's North American Champion, Blake Monroe.
Oh, yes.
Peeps, AEW seems to be going ahead and seeing that their old stars are shining bright.
Yes.
But indeed,
and
it's a good
propping
thing.
Up the competition.
I agree. But still, when it comes to Jade Cargill, I love what's going on here. I want to see what happens. Imagine they let her go on a long reign. That would be nice. Just, maybe surpass one Sasha Banks in regards to her women's title reign and how long she held the title in, WWE. Maybe you do something like that. Maybe, just maybe, she holds it up until WrestleMania to have that once in a lifetime match with Bianca Belair.
Yeah, because I think that's where it's headed. Even more so. I think what really stands out about this that I enjoyed, I think the WWE was building towards this. I think Triple H is looking at this as like, we're going to put the belt on her at some point. I think the fans' outrage at the fact that she did not win the belt at SummerSlam played into it. And it's like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to turn her heel. She does a seemingly a better promo as a heel, more imposing as a heel. And even more so, the fact that this has happened, it works because, as you saw with the fans, they enjoyed this moment. It needed to happen. And I think that what I was impressed about more than anything else was the fact that it was a squash, because you don't necessarily need to have Jade Cargill in a 15, 20-minute match. This was her Goldberg style of win. This was her dominating, getting in the ring, and just basically working that angle where the injury played in, where the week prior she beat up on Tiffany's knee on the steel steps and gave her a Paul Orndorff beating, as Mr. 411 and I joked about 2 weeks before. The only thing that was missing was a pile driver. That was as convincing of a beating as I've seen a champion take in putting someone over.
Indeed. But peeps, look, she's champion now. I can't wait to see what they have for her.
Yes.
Hopefully, like you said, it comes to the, hey, you know, maybe wait, who's still interviewing out here back there? You know, what, Kathy Kelly? Kathy, cut the look.
Yes.
Didn't we hear that one day? Even though we know it's a family that work for the WWE and they care about, you know, the family investors, but
yes.
But look, all in all, congratulations to Jade Cargill.
Yes. Long overdue.
Peeps, that's not the only woman on the roster going ahead and celebrating something. Chelsea Green beats Julia to become the new women's U.S. champion again for a third time?
Second time. Yes. The inaugural women's United States champion, who was the longest reigning by virtue of being first. Julia then surpassing her just a couple of weeks ago, only for Julia to lose the belt back to Chelsea Green.
Exactly.
To tell you the truth, I'm glad it happened, because this current version of Julia has been absolutely mishandled by Triple H and WWE, and whatever they've been doing, booking Julia, teaming her with Kiana James. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can understand they figure she probably needs a mouthpiece to help her along in promos to accentuate her on camera. But from what I'm seeing, Julia did not need another person there. She doesn't need a mouthpiece.
She's fine by herself. We've known this, peeps. We've watched Stardom for a good amount of time to understand who Julia was prior to even showing up in the WWE. And prior to that, even though that is home turf country, even though she's from London, you sit there, you look at that. She has roots, Japanese roots. It worked, but still, when she showed up to NXT, did they put a mouthpiece behind her? No. And she worked well, right?
Correct.
Again, if it's not broken, don't. Let me stop.
Yeah. You notice the theme here. There's an overarching theme of this whole thing. You see where it's going.
Oh, good grief. But yes, I hope that, you know, they can go ahead and work well with at least ending that as soon as possible, because again, Julia is high caliber talent. We know this for a fact.
Yes.
We should be seeing her in world title pictures. Putting that minor title on her, okay, cool, whatever. But the fact that they didn't really do much with that, the fact that they had Kiana James walking around with her as if, like, you know, Julia needed entourage, that was enough. Like, they need to do better with that. But still, Chelsea Green having the title, though, I'm not mad at it.
Yes, and she's got 2 belts. She's now a AAA mixed tag team champion with Ethan Page. I would love to see what they plan on doing. This is what I think they should do. If they go ahead and do this, they go ahead and they go the Lance Storm route, and they turn this into the Canadian heavyweight women's champion, and they put a maple leaf right on the front of the championship belt. And she talks about how great of an American she is, even though she's from Canada.
So now we're pulling the Lance Storm Alliance 2001 gimmick?
Yes,
We're putting the maple leaf on the belts now. Oh,
yes, there you go.
Oh man, wouldn't that just be amazing and funny? But but we have time to see what happens with that. But peeps, beyond all else, you know, the reason I started laughing was because I don't know if you watched NXT this past week, but the segment that they had with Thea Hale and Joe Hendry.
Yes.
And Thea throws the pie in her face, and then the aftermath with her backstage, and she just yelled out what she yelled out. Mr. 411, we know you're out there listening. We know that you have to feel better. So look, man, we hope that you do end up feeling better. This was for you. I know you sat there. You probably watched that segment. If not, go back and look. I think she was mentioning you. Anywho, with that being said, we move away from the world of WWE and we move into AEW. Peeps, litigation, lawsuits, whatever you want to call it, you name it. What the heck do they need a national title for? Peeps, half of the titles don't even get showcased much on television.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is a part of AEW now. They were bought by the company. How many of their titles get shown out?
How much of Ring of Honor gets shown on television in general?
Case in point.
Yes.
Now, Peeps, with that being said, what's the point of a national title? And not only just the point of a national title, doesn't one company have a national title already?
Yes, they would be the National Wrestling Alliance.
Oh,
contrary to popular belief, they're not dead, so they are still around. But yes, they have a national championship there in the NWA, which takes the lineage of the NWA, the belt that Tully Blanchard had, the one that Dusty Rhodes had, the one that Ronnie Garvin tried to win, the one that goes way back into the lineage. Yes, that lineage belongs to the NWA.
Okay, good, perfect, Peeps. I thank you. Now listen to me. Listen, hear me out now. They're saying that this title will be defended in all promotions across the globe. Wouldn't that be what the international title was?
Which they already unified.
Which already unified and turned into the AEW United Championship that is held by one Kazuchika Okada? Not only that, Peeps, why can it be defended across the world and be called a national title if across the world is international? You know what? I digress.
We're getting two I digresses on that one because you beat me to the punch.
Just get to the point. Just get to the point. How are you feeling about this, man?
I think part of the problem with AEW, and I've railed on this before, we all like championships in pro wrestling. Belts look beautiful. If they put the prestige behind them, they become more important. They become more enticing to the fans out there that love to see them. And the merchandising aspect, where you can go to an arena, go to their website and buy a championship belt. Okay, fine. The thought process behind Tony Khan is that he, being an old, and even they say old, but being an NWA fan and being a fan of wrestling that was on Turner Networks and TBS, the thought process is we're going to take the national championship and put it on AEW because AEW was on TBS TNT. Okay, that makes sense. It would have made sense if there was no international championship already there. It would have made sense if there was no unified championship belt that was already there. And the problem is, like you just stated, how do you take a national championship internationally and defend it elsewhere when you still have a whole bunch of championships already on your company's purview shown on television? Let's try to go to roll call of just AEW, not Ring of Honor, but just AEW.
AEW World Title, AEW Women's World Title. You have the AEW TNT title. You have the TBS title. You do have the Trios titles.
Yes. And you having now an AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship tournament, which has already gotten underway.
Add that to it.
They're going to apparently at Full Gear during a casino, I think it's the Casino Royale or Battle Royale, or is it the Casino Gauntlet match? And they're going to determine who's going to be the winner of that, will be the AEW National Champion. They have not shown any pictures of what this belt's going to look like because it probably is still being constructed and finalized, etc. But still, with all of those championships, you still have to make each one of them important. This is the same kind of discussion that we had over the weeks with Mercedes Moné having all of these championships to make them seem important. And I've said this over years of how you make championships on AEW television seem important by defending them on television. You having contendership matches on different shows like Collision. You showcase number one contender, number two contender. This person's going to get a title shot. That's what you do. They're not doing that. And they're just going to reintroduce a new championship on their programming. I don't get it.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Well, peeps, beyond all that, does Billy Corgan file a lawsuit?
I think so. I would not be surprised. Does it go anywhere? Probably not.
Probably not.
I'm thinking if they're going to do something, because I'm sure AEW and the NWA are going to get into some kind of back and forth. Who knows how long who knows how long it'll go. But if it gets that far into litigation, we'll see if it goes past a couple of months or whatever. Let's see what they do with it.
Indeed. All right, then. Well, look, from that, we move to the world of free agency. One free agent by the name of Rich Holland. Rich Holland, of course, who you know was kind of like let go by the WWE, who was then released from his contract, but couldn't go work elsewhere, right? Also was injured at a TNA show, working on behalf of WWE, got injured. They were paying his medical bills, but he wasn't getting paid. Not only with him not getting paid, he went ahead and he voiced his displeasure with that and everything that followed suit, and they just released him permanently from his contract, which means that everything is completely terminated because he filed a breach, right? So, with that being said, I have now heard and known that he has a GoFundMe that's currently out to help with the rest of the things that are needed. Of course, holiday season is coming around. He has 3 children. There have been certain WWE and AEW stars, people from the names of Kyle Fletcher, the Nigerian giant Omos, people of that matter going ahead, and even those on the indies like Raj Desi, those of you who know him formerly as Jinder Mahal, has even went ahead and donated to Rich Holland and the fund that he has up online. Peeps, knowing all of this, how are you feeling about the situation? What do you think is going to be the end result?
I think this goes into the pettiness of WWE and how TKO is running their overall overarching brand of how they deal with contracts. The saddest part about this is, as you just alluded to, he got hurt, took time off, and in his recovery, they put him on NXT. They moved him from NXT to TNA to help get himself going there. And he also revealed in his tweet, which is where all of this came from, is that he knows at some point he's not going to be able to wrestle for quite some time because he may have an impending neck fusion surgery that he may need. Now, we know the amount of wrestlers like Edge, we know of Bryan Danielson, we know of Kenny Omega, we know of Kevin Owens, guys that have had neck fusion surgery or will have neck fusion surgery. Will Ospreay is going to be having the same kind of surgery soon if he hasn't had it already. That can change your career. And Ridge Holland, coming from the world of rugby before he got into the professional wrestling game, he's already had a body beaten up by physical contact. Knowing that this is the case and knowing how petty that this has become, and going over the tweet, because what we think is what his post was the breach of contract for WWE. And it's basically saying, I never thought I'd not be able to pay my mortgage. I feel like I've been hung out to dry after getting injured working for another company on behalf of WWE. Add to that my contract not being renewed, knowing I would not be able to wrestle for 7 months. This is brutal because, mind you, when his contract it wasn't going to be re-signed, it was going to lapse. He had to wait 7 months for that to expire before he could go and look for work elsewhere. Yes, they are taking care of the surgery and physical therapy, but let's be honest, That's the bare minimum after what we sacrificed for the company. Plus the possibility of having to get my neck fused. Talk about getting totally effed. That was his official quote. And 2 days later is when we found out that they released him outright from his contract. This is kind of the way the WWE is working now. And it's sad, but this is where we're at right now.
We could have been unionized, but in the words of the Iron Sheik, I'm just gonna steal something real quick from Sheiky baby. Screw the Hulk Hogan! Ha! Poof! Okay.
Yes.
I think I got that out. But peeps, beyond all else, I'm calling for unionization. There's no other way around it. The fact that this is what TKO's now. Peeps, I reckon Vince would do this. I reckon if Vince were to go ahead and pull something like this.
Yeah, because remember, back in the 80s, Roddy Piper and Jesse Ventura wanted to unionize the wrestlers in the WWF at the time. And Jesse Ventura revealed the reason why it did not happen is because Hulk Hogan, who he thought was his friend, ratted him out to Vince, which then got squashed. Those are the things that kind of happen in the idea of trying to get some kind of rights for a lot of these wrestlers who are breaking their backs, necks, arms, etc. for the business that we love, and they're not getting anything out of it from that instance. We will probably never see unionized wrestlers in any company because it'll eventually cost these companies way too much money that they don't want to spend on that. But they'll spend it on other things. We know that.
Absolutely.
But this is where we are at right now, where the wrestlers themselves, who are in a better situation today than where they were at, say, in the 80s. But let's really be honest. It's still, are they independent contractors? What are they doing? That's the main issue.
Indeed, I agree. Well, peeps, from there, that marks the end of Wrestling Crash Course. To you guys, you want to keep up with all the latest social media news and updates? All you got to do is one thing and one thing only. Follow us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons _main events. Send in, your followings. Go ahead and follow us. Make sure that you can follow us on all those platforms, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, and you want to go ahead and see all of the videos that we have on there for your entertainment. Just go ahead and follow us, guys. But with that being said, peeps, before we go ahead and go to break, give us the ratings.
Okay. Ratings. Very interesting. Since we weren't on last week, I'll bring you last week's ratings and then I'll juxtapose them with the ratings for this week. And I'm going to bring special attention to a brand that we don't really usually talk about ratings wise. Okay. I'll start off last week with NXT for October 28th and the subsequent October 29th ratings for AEW. NXT won 527,000 with a 0.07 in the demo. AEW did 459,000 with 0.08 in the demo. That is low for both sides. And we know why, at least last week was the World Series. It did a number on a lot of TV. And going into that particular rating just. Now, I'll go into this week's ratings to give you the idea of what I was talking about.
Please do.
Both shows didn't really do that much better. NXT won once again 528,000 with a 0.08 in the demo. And AEW Dynamite did 497,000 with a 0.09 in the demo. They did back-to-back weeks. That's 3 straight weeks of sub 500 numbers. Obviously, the revision of the Nielsen ratings, plus also looking at how we're looking at with sports and the World Series and all the things that have happened. Don't forget
the max numbers.
Yes, the millions and millions of people on HBO Max watching AEW Dynamite. But I digress. But here's where the juxtaposition that I was talking about goes.
Go for it, peeps.
Okay. SmackDown's ratings 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago for the 24th. 1.15 million. They usually average between 1.5, 1.6 in that neighborhood. And they did 0.29 in the demo. This past week's ratings for SmackDown on Halloween, 933,000 views with a 0.20 in the demo. That is one of the lowest rated SmackDowns in years.
History?
Maybe. And this is on cable. This isn't regular over-the-air television. This is cable. I can't remember ratings this low for SmackDown. Think about that. That is insane. Now, this is the crazy part. They were up against, because it was Halloween. I know a lot of people probably weren't home because they were out trick-or-treating or doing whatever. College football, you had the World Series, you had a lot of that stuff. Okay, fine. But also, the World Series game did 17.4 million viewers on that same night.
Peeps, at least we know baseball isn't dead. Okay.
Yes.
At least that's good to know.
Yes.
At least that's good to know.
Go figure. But think about that. Less than a million. Who would have thought we would be talking about under a million people watching SmackDown?
And that's the first time they've ever drew under a million. This is the first time ever.
I believe
that's the
so.
lowest rated SmackDown in history, peeps. Literally.
Yes. And it's not as if it was a horrible show. It was a confluence of things. So they got destroyed.
Can you imagine? It really took 26 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Go figure.
Jeez, man.
But I digress.
I guess
it was really bad. Yeah.
Jeez. It took us a week to be away. Now we're hitting all these I digresses with all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, we got 3. Going in, we started at 158, and we just add another 3. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Could it be better, right, peeps?
There you go.
Oh, jeez. Anywho, look, before we go ahead and get to break, guys, I noticed some comments in the comments section. Hot Rod says, Jay Uso is the king of botching. Yeet.
We knew that was coming.
Christopher Morton is in the chat. Mr. 411, he says, I'm going to start a GoFundMe page so peeps can get a haircut. Nate doesn't look a day past dead. No play for Mr. Gray. Rejected.
Oh, Lord.
So, peeps, I need to know, Beijing or just for men?
Au natural. Woo!
Only peeps stage, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, that marks the end of the first half of Same. When we come back from break, we're going to go ahead and get into our questions. That is most famous here on Saturday afternoon's main event. And then our final topic for today's show being, of course, peeps, Cena'S last match opponent, Revitalized. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere. The second half of Same is coming up next. Welcome back to the second half of Same. Of course, it is Zada Phenomenal, and alongside me is my co-host, the one and only Peeps Nature. We're here to give you the last good news and all the wrestling news possible. Welcome to the second half of Same, guys. You want to go ahead and keep up with all the things Saturday afternoon's main event. All you got to do is one thing only. Follow us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons _main event, Twitter at Saturday Main, and of course on TikTok at Saturday Afternoons ME. We have now finally gotten to the part of the show that introduces our questions to the world for us to answer. Of course, peeps, you know we love this. This segment means the world to us.
Yes.
You want to be a part of the show in this matter, and you want to be able to go ahead and get your question answered by me and my co-host, the one and only Peeps H, then all you got to do is one thing, and it's simple. Simple, very simple.
Yes.
DM us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons _main event. Send in the question. And in the words of the wrestling god, WWE Hall of Famer JBL, a guarantee it'll be on the next episode of the show. With that being said, peeps, the first one comes from Master Sean 007. He says, "Greetings, gentlemen. With Vince McMahon being 80 years old, how many hours of interviews do you think he has done? And would you guys be interested in hearing from him on different topics?"
I'm sure he would have a lot of interesting takes. I don't know what he could tell us in an interview forum that we would be able to get from him truthfully, because I know there are a lot of questions that we wouldn't want to ask, and I'm sure he would be in defense mode potentially.
I'd ask a whole bunch, steroid trials. When did you cheat on Linda? Did you really want to have a storyline with Stephanie as your baby mama? How do you feel about fecal matter in the manner of going ahead and putting it on women?
He's gotta puke. Where does he come up with these ideas from? That's what I would want to know.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Now I understand why he tried to rip Big Show with a whole bunch of manure on him. That's starting to make sense, peeps.
Even more so, the concept that I want to find out is what went into the booking meeting in creative, where he decided that it would make sense that he and his son Shane would go up against Shawn Michaels and God. I want to know where the idea came from, where he decided, let's fuck God.
Peeps. I just want to know, Vince is an enigma. I feel like at this point that we go ahead and speak about Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the man is an oxymoron. Okay, it's gotten to the point. You genuinely bring that up. I need to ask him about Katie Vick. I need to ask him about the Kiss My Ass Club. I need to ask the fact that he got his face shoved up Big Show's arse. We know this was his thought process. Do you have some type of ass and shit fetish? Please, Vince, explain it. I would sit there and ask him that.
I think we already know that based on the what we know about this lawsuit that's going on. So
for me, the one that truly matters is I would really want to ask him. When you sat there and told Trish to strip and bark like a dog, was that for your own personal gain, or was that really just the storyline? And I know he's gonna be like, it was a storyline, damn it. I digress. Vince McMahon, peace.
Yes.
You know what? If it ever came down to it, if somehow, some way the man was open for interviews, we'd have to jump on that, because I feel like that would be the funniest one ever.
Yes.
Vince having to go. Oh, jeez. Oh man, forget it. Nah, that would be gold. That would literally be liquid gold.
Yes.
Oil, guys. I'm not talking about the stuff he did to Danilo. Okay, stop it. We're not doing this. Anywho, I digress. Okay?
I didn't realize what you just said.
I just digress. Christopher Morton for you. He says it's good entertainment, pal.
There you go.
He's like, Vince likes to digress all over some white.
Wow. Yeah.
Chris is here in spirit, guys. We love to see it.
Yes.
But, peeps, have we answered his question?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool, no problem. We'll move on to the next one. The next one comes from Hot Rod 316. He says, both ESPN and NBC aren't happy with WWE. Both the ratings and the attendance are slipping as well. In your opinion, what's the state of WWE, and compare that to AEW as well? By the way, this question has been brought to you by Cutwater, Long Island Iced Tea. I digress. Jesus, we're some alcoholics. Really, Hot Rod? Oh, man. But, peeps, to answer the first part of this question.
All right.
Look, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been tanking. Even ESPN, if we're being for real here.
Yes.
So, peeps, the state of WWE and comparing that to AEW, can I just say that both are stagnant?
We can say that. Yeah.
I don't feel like anything's digressing. I don't feel like anybody's moving up. They're both just stagnant. It seems as if since last year's WrestleMania, there have been things that have been looking up for AEW and things that have been going south. There have been things that have been looking up for WWE, and there have been things that have gone south. Within both, it seems like as much as they try to take hits up the ladder, they lose step about 7 steps down, and it's like they stay stagnant. It's like very complacent. It's an area that they're both just pretty much keeping to. They're not moving on up like the Jeffersons. They're not easing on down the road like the Wizard of Oz. They're just stagnant. Peeps, do you agree?
I agree. And that's part of the problem. Complacency can breed contempt sometimes. When you have a product that everybody could, there was a time with WWE for, I'd say, almost a 3-year span, they could do no wrong. Mm-hmm. The Bloodline storyline was carrying the company. We know that there were a lot of interesting storylines that Triple H was then bringing along in conjunction with the meta of the storylines that were already there and freshening up Vince's storylines when Vince left. So there was that. And knowing that you had Cody basically fall in WWE's lap and you were able to bring in all of these different storylines, and then you were able to compel the fans to get back to that mainstream audience that they were at during the 1990s, early 2000s, and kind of revitalize that wrestling feel that the fans got. That worked. And a lot of that was in large part to what AEW was doing, which was pushing WWE to clean up a lot of their garbage. And they did. AEW, coming out of the blocks, was able to go ahead and do that because they were a new company. They were able to get things going. And that worked. But then they ran out of steam, partially because of bad booking choices. A lot of it also were injuries. And in some instances, a lot of really dumb, bad luck. So that was one of the things that were happening. As far as ESPN, WWE, the majority of the reason why this happened is because of one 5-letter word, GREED, greed. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why this happened. Everybody knows the WWE got in bed with ESPN to get more money out that they could really get from the TKO deal. They got the billion from the Saudis. They're getting the billion from the TV deal. The billions that they were getting from moving initially the network moving to Peacock. When that expired, they got this now $1 billion deal or billions doing Netflix. So they're getting money hand over fist. And because they have that money coming in, they are now slowly diving into the money bin like Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck is a crazy pull piece.
Yes, now they're the richest duck in the world. There you go.
Christopher Morton, Mr. 41 says WWE had to come back to earth. It's insane the business they were doing. It can only come down.
Yes, especially if you looked at those SmackDown attendance from, was it the last week's show or the weeks before show? They only had 4,000 fans, I believe, in the building. There were large swaths of empty seats that were tarped off on SmackDown. We wouldn't have heard about this a year ago because all we heard from Michael Cole, all we would have heard from anybody else, record sales. This is the 15th, 16th, 18th consecutive sellout. We've done more sellouts on TV, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward now, we are at November 8th, 2025. We don't hear those numbers anymore.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Oh, wow. Jeez. Well, hopefully we can answer that. Yeah. Kerwin dude says greed. He says, how much money does the WWE need? Apparently, not what's currently in their bank accounts or what's their stock limit.
Prime time players, millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. That's what they need, millions of dollars.
Let me stop. There you go. Indeed. But look, with that being said, Hot Rod, I hope we answered your question to the best of our abilities. The last one comes from Long Island Isaiah. He says, Alistair versus Cody, I like.
Yes.
Peeps, they need to turn that into an actual storyline. If you're done with Drew McIntyre, let this be the case. Push Alistair to the main event. Peeps, especially after yesterday. Yes. Last night's occurrence with their segment, and then having Zelina Vega as a back, Peeps.
Yes. There you go. Cinema. And if you think about it, this can be played the way that Alistair did when he came into AEW and he still had the black eye from his feud with Buddy Matthews, that he was using that in storyline like that was a legitimate injury. They could bring that storyline that they had between, if you remember, when Alistair Black first got into the company, his first big feud was with Cody Rhodes. And he beat Cody in his first match in the company. So they could be using that and build off of that. Not to say that, well,
so
AEW, yeah. But yeah, they could use something like that. I've chased you around to try to get you in the ring, and now I'm going to show you what I can do.
I think we deserve a cameo from one spine buster killer himself, Arn Anderson. Just to bring back Glock 9 Arn. I need it, peeps. Give it to me. Inject it into my veins. Let me stop.
Yes.
But no, I love the direction they're going. If they need to, it would work. Husband and wife versus husband and wife. Where's Brandy? That's said by one Christopher Morton. Do we need another? I ain't tell you tonight was open mic. Look, I don't need it. Yes. I don't look, Brandy. God love you.
Remember, a lot of the reason why the fans love Cody is because they get to see Cody. A lot of the stuff that happened with Cody in AEW, they started to turn on him because the fans started to get tired of Brandy. Exactly. So maybe that's part of the reason why. And they've done a great job as far as only highlighting her in certain instances. Like at WrestleMania, she was in the crowd with their kid, showing the podcast and that kind of thing. That's about it.
And that's where it only works. If you're doing more, we don't need more. I think we're good. Yeah. But look, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black, that is a recipe for destruction. Give me that run. I want to see it. But hey, if that's the way to propel Aleister Black back in the place that he should be, hey, I'm fine with it. I am genuinely fine with it. Arn Anderson, I like yes. Chris, I genuinely do love that. I love that. Oh, geez. Now Kerwin going ahead and chanting AEW. Who does this? Who they like? What even prompted you to write that? You're getting paid by Tony. You have to be. You have to be. But
there you go.
With that being said, that marks the end of the question, guys. Look, again, we appreciate these questions. You want to send in more? Yes. DM us on Instagram at Saturday afternoons_main event. Send it in. It'll be on the next episode of the show. With that being said, peeps, last topic for today's show.
Yes.
I can't believe it. We're in November.
Yeah, time went really quick. Yeah.
And of course, you hear the song playing in the background. That's right now, coming from the one and only trademark John Cena. We're really about to go ahead and see John Cena retire next month.
Yes.
My childhood is officially over. Those days of being a C Nation chain gang soldier are upon me.
It's still real to me, damn it. Yeah.
But as we prepare to say goodbye to John Cena, we say hello to the stipulations that have been put for his last match.
Yes.
We now know that there's a tournament to decide who is going to face John Cena in his last match.
The last time is now invitational. That's what they've been naming this tournament.
Peeps, I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it could have been Randy or Punk. I wish it could have been Edge.
I wish it was AJ.
I wish it was AJ.
Yeah.
Peeps, we sit there and, I noticed that with the WWE, we don't always get what we want.
Yes.
And I feel like even if it wasn't any of those men, it should have been somebody handpicked by Cena. We noticed that in New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who has had a career as long as Cena's, if not even more greater, he gets to end at Wrestle Kingdom 20 against Kaz Okada. Somebody who
would be a really good send-off.
And we being the wrestling heads that we are, who have watched that rivalry, who have seen, the matches that they have put together, the chemistry that they both have. And it's kind of like old pal saying goodbye to old pal.
Yes.
Peeps, that works. That's perfect. But as we
Yes.
juxtapose the fact that Cena is going to have to go ahead and go through somebody that gets to win the shot through an invitational, it sucks to me. Peeps, how do you feel about it? And real quick, who do you see John Cena facing in his last match?
I would like it's going to be somebody that either he has not faced or somebody that he has a lot of history with to some degree. They've kind of intimated that it's may not be somebody on because it's going to go with SmackDown, Raw, NXT. People that are maybe not on the roster in the company, maybe from a TNA, maybe an independent. I think there could be a wild card in bringing in Matt Cardona. That would be an interesting name to put in there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see Joe Hendry in this. I personally have a feeling, this is just me, I have a feeling that his final match is going to be against Walter. Walter has not been seen on television in how many months?
Yeah.
They've done nothing to tease where he's been. They haven't spoken about him on television other than to document he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time and that his world title run was really, really successful. Other than that, they've mentioned nothing about him on television. And that's usually when you throw in, wow, what would happen if he got into the ring and got into this match and was the guy that ended John Cena?
Two
But
legends in 1 year. It's funny because Christopher Morton said the same thing. He thinks it should be Breaker. Now, peeps, what is the thing that eludes you? What do you feel should be coming out of this last match?
His last match should be a celebration of him. It should have the same feel that his match with AJ Styles had. It should be pretty much a tribute. You know he's going to go through the greatest hits of moves in his own way. And we also know that at some point when the match is over, he's actually going to have a promo where he thanks the fans. A much more grounded way of presenting it than what they did with Goldberg, because they gave Goldberg 30 seconds. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. God bless. See you. Good night. You know, it was, that's pretty much what it was. I think we're going to have something a lot more comprehensive. I don't like the fact that it's not going to be at the TD Garden. I don't like the fact that it's not on a premium live event, even though Saturday night's main event has basically become a premium live event now.
Only exclusive to Peacock, though.
Yes, exactly. So for those that thought
go out on NBC, like, does my GOAT not deserve NBC? I don't get it.
Course.
Like, I digress.
There you go. But yeah, I have a feeling I like Chris's idea. I do like that if it was Braun Breaker. Walter, I actually think would be the guy. But if it's Braun, I don't have a problem with that either. But it's going to be somebody that either he hasn't had a whole lot of working with or somebody that's new. I'll tell you one person that I'm sure would be very interesting to throw in there. And I would not be remiss if I brought this up, and I think you know where I'm going with this. What if the last person that gets to wrestle John Cena is somebody that has a championship already? Somebody that has 2 championships currently already on their waist. And that is the AAA Mega World Heavyweight / Intercontinental Champion, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Yeah. I had to throw that in there because I thought about that yesterday.
Someone is currently salivating at this.
Yes.
Now, that does work. The reason why I feel that does work is because not only due to the Triple C sense, or I should say, Triple C, he would sit there and enjoy the fact that Dominic Mysterio is getting to have Cena's last match.
Yes.
For me, I'm looking at it like Cena only needs the Intercontinental title to become a Grand Slam champion.
Mm-hmm.
He has already broken Ric Flair's record he has gone out well.
Yes.
I feel that if there's one way to highlight and cap off everything that this man has done, it would have to be to win the Intercontinental title. Peeps, not many individuals in the WWE get to go out standing tall. We know that tradition lays well that, look, when you leave, you go out on your back. That wasn't the case for The Undertaker. So why should it be the case for somebody who has literally given 25 plus years to the WWE and its fans? If it were to be Dominic Mysterio, I want it to be for the Intercontinental title. And if that's the case, Cena can relinquish it right there and there in the ring, having held it for only a couple of minutes. But hey, it is now added to his arsenal. And Cena goes out like a boss. I'd be happy with that. Genuinely, I would be happy with that. But, again, peeps, do you think WWE would do it?
I would not be surprised if they actually have been bantering that around as something that they would think about. Because you're getting, whatever is the situation, Cena is going to get celebrated. And whoever it is, that person is going to be put over just by virtue of being in the match.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is the case. So it's going to depend on the thought process of who it could be in this tournament, who would benefit the most from not even winning or losing the match, just being in the match. And the ramifications of what that does when Cena says, I am handing over the torch to you and your generation of wrestlers that are there that I can't do this anymore. That's all.
I agree. I genuinely agree. Well, look, peeps, we have a month and change left until that date comes. So look, let's just kick back, relax, and wait to see what happens.
Yes.
But while we wait to see what happens, we have to say goodbye for today.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this marks the end of Saturday afternoon's main event season premiere.
Yes.
Thank you for the ride. Thank you for the house. We did great. We showed up. We broadcasted. That's it, right? Nah. Look, case in point is we showed up today 12 inches away from the kick in the rear, peeps.
There you go.
That one, bud. Always remember that one. But look, we thank you guys for going ahead and tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Follow us on our social media platforms if you want to keep in touch with us, because we certainly want to keep in touch with you guys. Look, the fact of the matter is that this was Saturday afternoon's main event, where we came,
we saw, and in the words of the great Paul Heyman,
send them home, peeps, for the season premiere.
We conquered.
We conquered.
Yes.
See you next week, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 2 of this current season of Same. Shout out to Mr. 411, who should be getting better. Shout out to One Corey the Brain, which we pulled a roost on. Shout out to, of course, the Uncle Triple C. Shout out to the fans. This was Same. From the Phenomenal One and the Peep Snake. Peace. Love. And farewell. Bang.
Yeah.